So yeah, we've given the stain a good hour to dry now. So I'm about to go on with a primer. Ideally you'd use a primer that's made by the same company as the stain. So in that case it would be Morel's, but I don't like their lacquer. I know that this is fine. This water-based stain, water-based lacquer will go okay over this solvent-based stain. Or spirit-based stain. If you were to use like more of a solvent primer, especially with this stain, it has lifted. So I would try to get some information on what would go well on top of the stain that you used, if possible, so you don't get any problems. Because sometimes you can put it down and then the stain just lifts right into the lacquer and you're just spreading stain around the floor, and it's a nightmare. So what I'm going to be using is a brush, a roller. This roller is a Hamilton Perfect Finish medium pile roller. So here in the UK there's a big chain called Screwfix. You can get these for like £3 or £4, and they're some of the highest quality rollers that I've ever used. They're bound to the fibres are bound to the sleeve by heat, not by adhesive. Sometimes the adhesive in the rollers can react with the lacquer and cause problems. So these rollers you can use with solvents, water-based lacquers, anything. They're brilliant. So it's only a couple of quid. Ideally you use a different roller for the primer and the top coats. Again, sometimes it's fine, it can just make the top coats dry a little bit quicker. Sometimes it can cause real problems. So you ideally want to use a new roller for the top coats. If you've got the money, you could use a new roller on each individual coat. That would be perfect. But so yeah, the lacquer is Pre-Lac, Junkers Pre-Lac, which is what I have in the products I use book. I use Junkers, and I'm going to be going over the top with Junkers Strong Premium, which is their single component lacquer. So there have been some problems with Junkers over the past couple of years. This new Strong Premium product is a great product, and now I find that all of their lacquers work really well, so I'm happy to use it, happy to demonstrate it. So some people work out of a bucket, so they would pour this into a bucket with a bag inside it, because usually when you buy these lacquers they come with plastic bags, and you just dip the roller and then you roll it out. I've never done that. I've just poured it on, which can sometimes, again, there's so many nuances in this game, but on the whole it's fine just to pour it on, so long as you're not pouring a massive puddle down and then waiting for ages. So you want to pour it down and get going with it as soon as possible. So I'm going to pour it on. I'm going to do it in strips, and I'm going to brush around the edges first, and I'm going to fill in that strip with the lacquer, and then the next row, and the next row, and the next row. So if you've got multiple rooms, sometimes it's good to put a bit of tape down across the door frame just to lacquer up to it, and then as soon as you've lacquered up to it you can pull that tape up, then go off and do another room, and if you have to, tape that one off and then brush up to it, put the tape down before you start lacquering. Then when you're doing the hallway you can just with the brush up to those lines delicately, and it all sort of blends together. With parquet floors I tend to do it diagonally. You don't have to do that, but it's a habit I've got from when I first started, and my old boss didn't have a clue what he was doing, so he was using the wrong thing and it was causing marks. So we did it diagonally to try and hide the marks. If you're rolling it diagonally and you've got like lines, you've got lines that are diagonal with the blocks. So maybe something to take into account, considering you're not a pro and you might have marks. So but it makes no odds really, so I still do it diagonally. So right. Before we started recording I did shake this can thoroughly for 30 seconds, so be sure to do that.
rolling and lacquering is kind of one of those things. You need to get it on at a certain thickness and not too much thicker and not too much thinner, especially with the first coat, as it can kind of absorb. It's going to dry quicker than the other coats, so when you've got a new roller, you need to pour more down because it's going to drink it all up. See, there's a fibre that's come off the roller. It's kind of inevitable to get some stuff in the lacquer. Always keep your eyes peeled for bits of debris or anything that can end up in the lacquer whilst you're lacquering, because it's better to get it out then than to be having to deal with it once it's dried. Now I've done that first line, I don't have to brush down the edges. I can do a thicker line like that. As you might notice, it's looking a little blue. Sometimes it can be a bit scary putting it down, but as it starts drying it settles out. Hard to get it completely perfect, but try to just cross roll the lines like that so that they smooth out. I always take the pressure off the roller so it's kind of just tickling the floor a little bit. Now I'm a bit closer to the camera, I'm just going to more closely demonstrate what exactly I'm doing with the roller to try and ensure that it's nice and smooth. So I'm just going to do a smaller strip like this. So I'm going to, connecting with the previous line, I'm going to roll it all the way down here, and as I come back I go over that connecting line, you see, so the line it's created on the right, I go over, and then again create another line, and I'm going back over it to smooth it out, and again creating a slightly uneven edge, and then going back over it. Now the way I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to demonstrate how I would do it if I was, say, just backing out down this path towards a door that I was going to escape out of. Instead of rolling it all the way across like that, I would just make sure, because I couldn't walk across the lacquer again, I'll just make sure this end bit is smoothed out as much as possible. And then you don't pour too much down is the gist of it, and if you have, you pull it forward like that. You just do that area, and you move closer to the door, you do the next area, so you're not pouring too much down so that you're going to end up, you know, dragging this massive puddle around trying to figure out where you're going to put it all. That's the main thing, is you don't put too much down. Prime always can look a little bit scary. Just get it on
smooth it out. When it is going a bit white like this, just bear in mind you don't want to play with it too much, because you can start creating issues that will stain the lacquer. But you can kind of see where I've been before, it's already starting to dull down all that greyness, all that bluish colour. So we're going to let this dry for a little while and hopefully get a first top coat on before the day's out.